Meghan Olson. She is with the Alzheimer's Association. Of course, we got the walk coming up on September 20th. Meghan, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We were visiting before we went on air. You have an interesting story.
Yeah, my world changed forever the day that my mom had walked in with my grandma to our house, and as a kid, I thought it was normal to go to grandma's house and to check on her, and make sure that the neighbors were like, hey, I don't know what's going on. The garage door's open. It's 9 o'clock at night. Or she went to the store really late, or again, she couldn't find something. And so I just thought that was normal. But let me go again. So then when my mom walked in the door with my grandma, she said, your grandma's moving in with us. She has Alzheimer's disease. And at the time, I was a sophomore in college. My brother was a sophomore in high school, and my parents were both working. And so how it forever changed was I went from being a granddaughter to a caregiver. And really that propelled me into getting into senior living and learning about all of the other dementias that are out there, because my one story is one story. And it's really then I started volunteering for the Alzheimer's Association, and 7 years later, you and I are chatting, and I've been with them ever since.
And Alzheimer's, think of it as when you get into your senior years, but it can strike earlier, right?
It certainly can, which is the hardest part. So there is a large audience that can receive early onset or younger onset. It can vary on which one that is used, but the terms are interchangeable. And so that would be anybody before the age of 65. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are in their 40s and their 50s going through this disease. And I was grateful. My grandmother was, later in her life. She passed when she was 93, but still, right? Yeah. But still, I mean, all these years leading up to it, I remember asking my mom, we know there's these warning signs. Yeah. And I asked her, I was like, what was that first one you remember? And she said, balancing your checkbook. And it wasn't making any sense. And she's like, I knew something was up, but again,
yeah. So what are some of the warning signs?
Yes. And so the biggest thing to remember is it affects your daily life. In today's world, we have this thing called stress. And so every so often, we're going to forget that we had an appointment. We're going to forget that, where did I put this product? We're going to forget those kind of things, but affecting your daily life. So again, when it comes to back to the appointments. You're showing up for an appointment you had yesterday. You're showing up again as if it had never happened. Or you're always a regular at church, and all of a sudden you are coming on the wrong day of the week. Or there's this famous recipe that you've always baked, and all of a sudden things are kind of off. And so really it's looking at confusion with day and time and suspicion and all of these pieces that really lead up to it. So there are 10 warning signs that we recommend people look into, because the changes in your brain are happening 10 to 20 years before that first symptom is really noticed. And so it is a really fascinating understanding of the brain and understanding how those changes are happening. But there's treatments now. So the key is to catch it early, and early enough to where you can receive a treatment so that it can attack the underlying cause of Alzheimer's disease specifically.
Again, visiting with Meghan Olson. So what are some of the treatments? I mean, is it medical, physical? What are we doing here?
Well, we know that lifestyle intervention is a huge benefit to those for impacting their brain health. And so, again, if it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain. So ways to love your brain, exercising, eating healthy, the mind lifestyle, or the DASH lifestyle, two kind of different, or the Mediterranean lifestyle are certainly opportunities to increase, your fish and your all the fun things, right? I'm not a nutritionist. However, challenging yourself and taking up a new skill. If you always wanted to learn piano, that's something that challenges your brain. Yeah. You want to learn a new language, challenges your brain. Wearing a helmet, because traumatic brain injuries are unfortunately leading to dementia-like symptoms. Not smoking, getting your sleep, things along those natures certainly help. So then if you are diagnosed, back to the treatment, it's an infusion treatment that medically you can receive. And so again, the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease are, there's a test at the end, amyloid plaques and tau tangles. But what is interesting, so this plaque, we all have we think of plaque in our teeth, but there's
Right.
also plaque in our brains. And so the clumps of that, there's too much amyloid that's there, and it makes these tangles. So then when the neurons are trying to fire at each other, there's a disconnect. And so the treatments attack that process. And so ideally then you would look into like a remission where you could keep you're slowing the progression of that actual plaque that's building up inside someone's brain.
So let's talk about the walk. It's coming up Saturday, September 20th. What do we all need to know?
Yes, so it's going to be a beautiful day, first of all. It's at Nelson Corp Field. We start at 8 in the morning, and we offer an hour of speaking to vendors for them to share their services with you. We've got a great, if you're coffee, donuts kind of a deal. We've got that in the morning, and really we gear up to then have our opening ceremony. So if somebody wants to join us, it's completely free to join us. We do ask if you'd like to fundraise, please do so. But we know that it takes a village to go through this disease process. So we encourage you not to come by yourself. Come with other people who are experiencing it with you, because it is like a really big support group in the sense that you don't realize all the different people that are there. And when you have 300 people that have gone through something similar and they understand you and understand the process, it's really a beautiful thing. So opening ceremony starts at 9, and then we'll take a beautiful walk along the river and then come back with some post refreshments. We'll do a silent auction, and again, just have a really nice morning.
Yeah, that'll be great. Now,
Yeah.
who are some of the vendors that are going to be there?
Yep, so we'll have people in banking, people in insurance services, people in the senior living industry.
Okay.
Those are the main ones that we'll have on that day. And again, we also have all of our Alzheimer's Association resources there. So if you're wondering more about the warning signs or wondering more about the ways to love your brain and stay healthy, all of that will be there too. And this is our number one way to raise awareness for the disease, and it helps us fuel our 1-800 helpline, which is 24/7. Anybody can call in and ask any question that they would like. Our licensed social workers, like the average is like an hour and 20 minutes they spend with people. So each of their calls that they're making. So it's a really beautiful thing that we offer, because there's one of me and there's many more of them. And that is a lot of it. And then, of course, research, because, again, we have a treatment, but let's figure out that cure. So step in the right direction, I'll tell you that much.
So if you want to find out more about this, certainly be there Saturday, September 20th at Nelson Corp Field. The Alzheimer's Association, in the opening ceremony, are there testimonies, different things like that, Megan?
There is a beautiful moment where someone who has lost a loved one but is now experiencing it with another one of her friends, she's going to be speaking during that time.
Wow.
And so it's
You go
really
through it
wonderful.
twice.
Yeah. Again, it's a hard, crazy, weird disease that nobody chooses to get, right? I mean, you think it's old age, but then you're realizing it's a lot more than that. So that person will be speaking. We'll share some facts and stats, again, more of what I've spoke about today. And then we have flowers at Walk Day. And so each flower represents a connection to the disease. And then you can plant the flower in our garden, go on a nice walk, and pick it back up and have the flower all year round in your home or wherever you'd like to put it.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Delight visiting with you. If people would like to find out more information, the best way to do that?
alz.org/walk.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
People trust Extreme Internet, but they don't trust our prices. So it's time for a change.